Okay, and welcome to a series of videos where I intend to go through some more difficult GCSE problem questions. Whether you're doing the GCSE or just doing this for your own amusement, as ever, these videos work a lot better if you have a go first and then come back and watch my solution. It doesn't matter if you've done it a different way. If you found a different way of doing it that gets you to the same solution, almost always that will get you the marks. But typically, I tend to do it the most straightforward, easiest way. Either way, pause the video, have a go, and I'll come back in a couple of minutes. All right, so I hope you've had a good go at this question. Now, you should have made some progress. You should have been able to set up a couple of formulas. What you will have noticed is I've put in the title that there's 3 unknowns and 2 equations, so that doesn't feel right. So the question is what you're going to do with it. How are we going to proceed with this? Now, with all problem questions, it's the same idea. It's about working out what sort of question it is, and therefore what do you know, and therefore what can you do. And sometimes it's just doing stuff and hoping it's going to work. So in this case, this question is, well, it's a series question, and therefore you're just going to have to think about what you know to do with arithmetic series. And the one thing that you do know is you know the sum of n terms is n divided by 2 times 2 times the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference, and that gives you the sum of n terms. And the reason that's relevant is because that is the only information the question gives you. Then the other thing the question tells you is it wants you to work out what D is, and it wants you to work out what M is. Doesn't care what A is, but that might be something you want to work out along the way. So let's just set up some formula. Let's just set these formula up here for number 1 and number 2, and let's kind of see what happens, see where we can go from there. So number 1 is telling us the sum of n terms, so the sum of m terms, which is going to be m divided by 2 times by 2a plus m minus 1 times d, and that tells me that that is equal to 39. Now, I don't really like this divided by 2 in the left side of the formula, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2, and that's going to tell me that m times by 2a plus m minus 1 times by d is equal to 78. So far, so good. Number 2 then tells me that the sum of the first 2m terms, so twice as many terms, so I'm going to write this down here, so 2m is equal to 2m over 2, so I'm just using the formulas up here, is equal to 2m over 2 times by 2a, where it's the same a, crucially, times by 2m minus 1 times d, and it tells me in the question that all of this is equal to 320. Now, that's given me 2 equations, which I've called here equation 1 and equation 2, which is basically based off the 1 and 2 above. So I'm going to get rid of that so it's a bit clearer what I'm doing. Now, with equation 1, what I can do is expand the bracket. So just for space reasons, I'm going to do this all in one go. So check you're happy with what I've done. So equation 1, I can rearrange to 2a times m plus what m times d is going to be m squared times d. M times minus 1 times d is going to be minus d times m. Now, it doesn't matter which way around you write the d and the m squared. So therefore I've got 2am plus m squared d minus d times m is equal to 78. And then equation 2, if I rearrange that, well, that tells me, well, 2m divided by 2m is m. So, in fact, I'll write it here just so it's a bit clearer. So I can change this first one to m times 2a plus 2m minus 1 times d is equal to 320. So if I rearrange equation 2, if I expand the brackets, I've got 2a times m plus, now m times 2m times d is 2m squared d. And m times minus 1 times d is minus dm, and all this is equal to 320. And that's given me 2 new equations. Just so it's clear what I'm looking at, I'm going to call that equation 3 and equation 4. So the question is what I do now, because I've got 2 equations and I've got 3 unknowns. I don't know what a is, I don't know what m is, and I don't know what d is. So I'm just going to have to try and do something to get rid of some of these values. Well, what I do notice is both of them have 2a times m and both of them have d times m. So actually, if I take away these 2 equations, if I do 4 minus 3, because 320 is bigger than 78, well, I've got 2am minus 2am, so that gives me 0. I'll just put that there so you know what I've done. I've got 2m squared d minus m squared d, which is going to give me 1m squared d, Minus dm minus dm is minus dm plus dm, which is 0. And 320 minus 78 is 242. And that's it. I've got something. The question is now what I do with this. Now, this is where we have to be careful to go back to the question and make sure I've read the question carefully, because it did actually give me another piece of information which intentionally I kind of jumped over. So very first line tells me that I have an arithmetic series. It has first term A, well I've done that. It has common difference D, and then it tells me that D is a prime number. Okay, great. Now, if in doubt, sometimes the thing that can save you is if you go back to your prime factors. So you can either use your calculator, there's a button on the calculator that will do it for you, or you can just work it out using the factor tree or however you may get there, but you'll find out that 242 is the same as 2 times 11 squared. And you'll remember this is the same as m squared times d. So in other words, if I rewrite this here underneath, that's d times m squared. Just by comparison, it must be the case that d is equal to 2 and m is equal to 11. And it feels like I'm done. Now, always go back, double check you've answered the question. So common difference, d is a prime number, the sum of the terms, find the value. Yep, all he wants me to do is find the value of d and m. I've done that. There's my d, there's my m. Question done. Nice question. Really difficult bit at the end, but also very sort of valuable question in checking understanding of different skills. That's it. Another video coming up soon with a second question. Have a go at that one as well, and I'll see you all soon. Please do like and subscribe. It does help the channel considerably. It helps it get in front of other people so other people can see these questions too. Thanks all.